You're listening to the legendary podcaster, the one, the only, T-Jam D. Your personal favorite, and the show you've been waiting for. Probably offensive.
Welcome to Probably Offensive. Another thrilling, exciting show. I am your host, Mr. Anthony Scott Dover, better known to some of you as Tony. Some of you call me T-Jam, but either one of those will do just fine. Another COVID update, and where we are with the pandemic, and still going on. Coronavirus still affecting us. Not quite to 6 million, but can you believe it? I know a lot of you are saying the numbers are false. COVID's not real. No one's dying, and none of this is real. But that's nonsense. Just over 5 million recorded cases in the U.S., which is the highest in the world so far. That's just, we have more cases than everybody else, and that's the way it's always going to be. There's no so far. For a country that Americans claim to be the greatest country in the world, which I believe that most of my life, and still normally would say that that's true, but now it's turned out that I'm not so sure, especially the way this president has his lack of leadership. Really, over 76,000 deaths so far from COVID. So the COVID monster moves forward, reaches on. Actually, I thought back when we first found out about COVID, the coronavirus, that we, by the time the summer got here, we'd be over it. I thought so. I don't. Maybe I was just listening to the president and just being stupid. But I thought, the president is, usually not telling the truth. So I thought, he says we have 15 cases and it'll soon be down to 0, and that he thinks it'll just magically go away. He said that would happen in April, and here it is, August the 23rd, and not gone away. Not only has it not gone away, but more cases than ever. It's getting worse. It's getting worse, not better. So much for that. But anyway, we move on. We move forward, regardless of COVID, the pandemic, or anything that stands in our way. We got to keep moving. We don't have a choice, really. Got to move forward. So that's what we're doing. Moving. The Democratic National Convention was just held. So the Democrats had their convention. And myself, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican by any stretch. But I'm not a Democrat. I don't think that anyone actually should affiliate with either party unless you are running for office and you feel like you need to get on one side or the other to, be an effective candidate to get votes. You need to say, who you are. It's very hard for someone. Sometimes a person who's independent can win a seat in Congress or as a senator in the Senate, but it's very hard to win a political office if you're not a Republican or a Democrat. You got to be one or the other. But none of us who are not actually running for office should identify as Republican or Democrat. And here's why. You can't just vote for Republicans because there's going to be some people who you don't think is good for the job that they're running for. There'll be some candidates who are horrible human beings and you don't think they should have that job, and just because they're a Republican or a Democrat, either one, and you are a Republican or a Democrat, you can't just vote party lines. You can't just vote for someone just because they're in your party. If you think that person is horrible and that they would not do a good job, you shouldn't just vote for them just because you're a Democrat and they're a Democrat or Republican. Either one, either or. You can't just vote for people because they're. That's why no citizen, just a regular citizen, not a politician. Yeah, politicians usually are going to pick one side or the other just so they can identify with the voters and then get votes. Because, like I said, usually a libertarian or someone who's progressive. There are some progressives. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, AOC, is a congresswoman, and the progressives have their own network now called the Young Turks. Those guys are progressives on the Young Turks. They're pretty good, but their network is small time. It's independent, actually. It's an independent network. It's not one of the big boys. It's not CNN or CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, MSNBC, news all the time. But that's just my feeling on the being Republican or Democrat. Now, the Democratic National Convention has happened. It went off without a hitch. Actually, it probably went off a little better than expected mainly because Joe Biden spoke, and he gave a speech at the end of the convention, and he sounded good. I heard his speech. I didn't hear all of it. I heard most of it, and he sounded good. He did not sound like, he didn't make a lot of mistakes verbally or forget anything, I guess, or he didn't say anything that didn't make any sense. So, really, he made it's just another example of making the president look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's pretty much made a fool out of the stuff that, Trump was trying to say about him, because President Trump's basically been saying that the guy is senile. He hasn't said those exact words, but he's, made a lot of cracks about Joe Biden's mentally, cognitive abilities or lack thereof. So, President Trump was made a fool out of, because Joe Biden sounded good. He gave his speech. He fired back at President Trump, and he didn't address anything that President Trump said about him personally, which was good. He just talked about President Trump professionally as the president and what he's doing and not doing as president. And so Joe Biden sounded pretty good. Congratulations to Kamala Harris. As I said before on the last show, Kamala Harris has been asked to be Joe Biden's running mate. She also gave a speech at the Democratic National Convention. She's the vice presidential candidate now. And so there's one thing I did see last week. Somebody brought up Kamala Harris's birth, and President Trump talked about it, and so did Jared Kushner, the dumbass loser boy, son-in-law of President Trump. But President Trump talked about whether Kamala Harris, however you pronounce that, Kamala Harris was eligible to be vice president. She was born in Oakland, California, so that's pretty much the end of that. But they went on talking about it, pretty much making fools out of themselves, because she was born in the U.S. and they admitted she was born in Oakland. But then they started talking about, but her parents wasn't born. No one said your parents had to be born in the U.S. for you to be a citizen. If you are born in the U.S., you are eligible to be president or vice president in this case. So it's really not an issue. They tried to make an issue of it, but if you're making an issue of something that's not an issue, you're making a fool out of yourself, because in the long run, no one's going to talk about it. And that's what happened with this birther issue with Kamala Harris. It's the same thing that Trump tried with Obama. Talking about, he wasn't born in the U.S. I mean, the guy became president, and he went on and on about whether he was born in the U.S. or not. It'd be like, these things are checked out thoroughly before someone not only can run for office, but is elected. President Obama was